Good afternoon, welcome back to the Homestead. Have you ever wondered what you can and cannot feed your chickens? Well, today we are going to talk about just that. And if this is your first time here, we want you to stay here permanently. So head below, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up or like on the video. All right, let's get to feeding our chickens. So we've got our table scraps here, and we've got some other vegetables that kind of went bad in our refrigerator. They're not rotten, they're just not good for us to eat now, so it's perfect for the chickens. And this is some baby spinach. They've been pecking at this for the last couple minutes while I set up the camera, and they really want to get at it, and it's very good for them. It's high in calcium, and here we go, girls, come on. And it's very nutritious for them. Come on, girls. So here are the rest of our table scraps. We've got some cooked rice, some banana, some onion peels, we got a sweet potato, we've got some kiwi and apple, some corn, some blackberries, banana peel, and I think there's a grape or two left in here. All this is perfectly great to feed to your chickens, as long as it's not moldy or rotten. Chick, 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 chick. Any kind of berry, chickens really love it. They also will eat up this cooked rice really, really fast. Another great thing to feed them are your garden scraps. Now, this happens to be a collard green that has bolted. We just picked it a few minutes ago, and this is perfectly fine for them. However, we're going to talk about plants in the garden that are not good for them at all. Here's food number one you cannot feed them. This is an avocado. This went bad in our refrigerator. I cannot throw that in here to them, simply because it has a toxic chemical in the skin and the pit that is called persin, and it's not good for chickens at all. Although they can eat the flesh, I just wouldn't risk it at all, so we're not going to throw in avocados. Now, food number two is citrus. This is an orange rind, and I actually do feed these to my chickens. They don't eat them, they're too tough for them. They play with them, and the jury is still out. There is no conclusive evidence one way or the other whether citrus is bad for them. Some sites say it's fine for them, some sites say it's great for them, and some sites say that it's bad for them. So they haven't, or I haven't had any problems with throwing them the peels. I haven't thrown them any citrus fruit itself, just the peels, and they're completely fine. So at your own risk on citrus. Now let's talk about the nightshade family. The nightshade family includes eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, and potatoes. Those are the most common ones, although there are others. Those are the most common that everybody grows in their garden and buys at the stores. So all of the leaves from those plants are toxic to chickens. Do not feed them the leaves, the roots. Now, the fruit is a different story. The tomatoes are fine. The peppers are fine, although they don't like them very much. The potatoes are fine. Now, we'll talk about potatoes in a second. But the eggplant fruit is not. So if you have some older tomatoes, you can toss them in here to your chickens. If you have some peppers, yeah, toss them in. They'll make compost out of them, but they probably won't eat them. But absolutely zero leaves from all of those different plants. Now remember, potatoes and sweet potatoes are different. Sweet potatoes are perfectly fine, skin and all, and leaves, of course, for your chickens. But potatoes are interesting. Potatoes are fine for your chickens. Not the leaves, remember, but the potato itself. Although if it turns green on the outside, solanine is the chemical that reacts with the sun on the potato skin and turns it green. You've seen them before. That is toxic to chickens. So you can peel that off of a potato. Usually it only happens in one spot, not the entire potato. Peel it off from that potato and it'll be fine for your flock. You like that? This is a squash. This is perfectly fine to feed to your chickens. You can see that they've been pecking on it. Actually, this has been out here for 3 days. They ate the seeds almost immediately because the seeds were nice and soft actually in this squash, but the flesh itself, this is a hard winter squash, is extremely tough to get through for them. But as you can see, they're pecking it out and they do like it. It's probably a nice little toy for them to play with out here as well. Here's a top to an onion that was in our refrigerator. The jury, I guess, is still out on onions. I've never had a problem feeding onions to my chickens. Now, these particular ones are not of egg-laying age yet. So some people say that if you feed them too many onions or too much garlic, then that can affect the taste of the eggs. So we're going to see in the future. I don't feed them a lot. Usually it's the heel from what I cut off in the kitchen, and that's all that they get. Some sources say if you feed too many onions to the chicken, and just a great overabundance of onions to the chickens, that can be toxic to them. So just watch what you give them. Give them everything in moderation. So actually, the number one thing that you never ever want to feed a chicken are raw or dried beans. Why? Because it contains hemagglutinin. And hemagglutinin actually has a protein in it called lectin. Lectin can cause metabolism disruption in the bird cells. So stay away from beans, and if you let them free range in your garden, cover the beans up. Don't let them near them. They cannot get near them at all. It actually can kill a chicken. If a chicken eats a whole bean, it can kill them in about 3 hours, I've heard. So I've never had that happen because I've never let them get near beans. But keep them away. Now, there are a few things that are really easy to think about that you shouldn't give to a chicken, but you just got to kind of go over them. I'm going to go over them for everybody. Just in case you didn't know, but never give a chicken chocolate. It's got theobromine in it, which, as you know, can kill a dog. It absolutely can kill a chicken. So no chocolate, no candy, nothing silly like that. Don't give that to a chicken. Also, don't give any moldy food to a chicken at all. Also, no dairy. They are lactose intolerant to the nth level. They cannot tolerate dairy at all. And no peanuts, no raw peanuts. They also have a toxicity to them that is detrimental for the chicken's health. So keep the peanuts away from them. If you want to feed them a snack or a treat, I would suggest getting mealworms. Mealworms are one of the best things that they can eat. It's really good and healthy for them. Also, they can eat popcorn. Popcorn has a lot of vitamins in it, if you didn't know. Corn is great for them, but popcorn they do love as a treat. Now, something that many of us don't have is rhubarb. Not many people grow rhubarb at all. Not many people eat rhubarb, but the chickens, they can't eat it either. They will actually eat the part of the stalk, but I would keep it away from them altogether because the leaves are toxic to the chickens. Now, there's another food that the jury is still out on. I do not give it to my chickens. They can get calcium in other sources, and calcium comes from your leafy greens in a bigger abundance than a lot of other things. A lot of people grind up eggshells and give them to the chickens. I say keep any eggs that are broken or that they could peck on and in and taste it away from them. Even if it's scrambled, even if it's eggshells, it doesn't matter. I want the smallest chance possible that the chicken is going to get a taste for an egg and start destroying all the eggs that it lays or its sisters lay in the coop. No eggs. And it goes without saying, no raw meat unless you want your chickens to be carnivores and start pecking on each other. Not cool. Now, there are a lot of weeds out there that you may be picking on your homestead that are actually toxic for your chickens. Now, they will avoid them if they are out there free-ranging, but if you've got them in a confined space, I would just avoid feeding them to them altogether, and that is creeping myrtle, any type of fern, burdock, English ivy, things like that. There is a link in the description below to a list of weeds that are toxic to them. They'll avoid them, obviously, in a natural setting, but don't pick them and give them to your chickens. So just stick with the basics, your grains, your chick food, You can make fodder for your chickens, so sprouted grains are actually very good for them. And we'll probably be doing that in the very near future on the channel. Any vegetables and fruits that I mentioned that were good, and anything, just avoid the things I mentioned that are bad, and your chickens will grow up very healthy and they'll have a great diet. Now I want you to go check out this video, which shows you how we made our chicken run outside to be predator proof. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.